Hola. I really hope that today this goes well because last time I lost connection immediately. Let's try and fix this up. I hope you'll be able to see that. So the connection's a little bit iffy, so I'm apologizing beforehand. Yes, I had a funny question today. And so I thought I'm going to jump on here tonight and explain, and hopefully the doubts around this will be cleared up. Okay, so as English speakers, I feel as though this is something we struggle with a lot when we're learning Spanish. We struggle with the grammar. The simple fact that there are so many structures that we don't actually use in English. And so it makes it extra hard when it comes to translating and speaking in Spanish. And so, yeah, we're just going to go over the doubts that not just my student, but doubt that I've struggled with also as a native English speaker who've had to learn Spanish from scratch. Not easy at all, but we're going to get into it. So her question was, why is it that some verbs change and some verbs don't change? And so she was reading a book and she came across, she was taken, fue llevada. So fue llevada, she was taken, and she couldn't understand why we wouldn't say she lived. Well, we wouldn't change the ido. We lived to ella ha vivida. Basically, is what she was saying. So why is it vivido and certain verbs don't change? You can only say ido and not change it to the feminine and say ida, because you wouldn't be able to say ha vivida. It doesn't make any sense. It's he vivido, tú has vivido, él ha vivido, but you wouldn't change that. So that's what I'm going to explain today. And I think explaining that mix-up that we have when it comes to the pluscuamperfecto in Spanish will explain that. And if I explain a little bit about the passive as well and why we get confused. So I think the first thing that I should do is go over the pluscuamperfecto, which is this, el pretérito pluscuamperfecto del subjuntivo. We struggle with this a lot because it's not the same in English at all. So I think the first thing that you have to do is master the two different conjugation of the verb to have. Once you've done that, you are on your way. Okay, so as long as you've got this down and you understand it quite well, it should be quite easy from there. So I'm just going back from zero to then explain why we don't change the ending of certain verbs. Okay, so this goes back to what you feel more comfortable using. I tend to use the hubiera ending more than the hubiese ending, but it just depends which one you learn quicker, which one you feel more comfortable using, but they both mean exactly the same. So as long as you get this down, you'll be okay. Yo hubiera, tú hubieras, él o ella hubiera, nosotros hubiéramos, vosotros hubierais, ellos hubieron. You can do that if you find your tongue wraps better around that ending. Some people find that ending a lot easier. So I would have, you would have, he would have, she would have, we would have, and you plural would have, they would have. Right. So the yese ending is pretty much the same, except it finishes in yese. Yese, hubiese, hubieses, hubiese, hubiésemos, hubieseis, hubiesen. Okay. Once you've got that down, you know that that's our translation. Our translation would be, I would have done something. We use this tense when we want to express that something could have happened in the past, but it didn't. Okay, so an action that could have happened, could have taken place in the past, but that action didn't actually take place. Okay, so for instance, if I'd fallen in love with a millionaire, I would be rich now. Okay, that's an action that didn't actually take place. I didn't fall in love with a millionaire. And so I'm not rich right now. So remember that. When you want to express something that didn't take place in the past, but you wish it had, this is when you would use this tense, okay? The pluscuampertfecto. This one you would use it. This one you would employ it. Hola, DJ from Madrid. Welcome, 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 welcome. Okay, so yes. So when else would you use it? When it's a conditional and it's an unreal situation. It's not real. Okay, it didn't really take place. We're imagining that it did, or we're saying, what if it had taken place? What would have happened then? Okay, so a sentence with a conditional sentence would be, si no me hubiera engañado, me habría casado con él. Okay, so if he hadn't cheated on me, action, okay, that didn't take place because he did cheat on me. Okay, if he didn't cheat on me, then I would have married him. Okay, you see? So again, it's an action that we're saying, if it's an action that could have taken place, but it didn't. Okay, so if he hadn't cheated on me, I'd now be married. Okay. Saludos, dear. Graciosa. Okay. Muy bien. So again, an action that could have taken place but didn't. Okay, so I could have married him. Okay, had he not cheated on me. Okay, so that's when we would use it. We want to talk about something that could have happened in the past, but it didn't actually happen. So it's an unreal situation. Okay, it's conditional. It didn't actually happen, but I can imagine it could have. It could have happened, but it didn't. Okay, so another example. ¿Te imaginas que tus padres no se hubiesen conocido nunca? So I'm saying, can you imagine if your parents had never met? Okay, but they did meet. Okay, pero te puedes imaginar que tus padres no se hubiesen conocido. Okay, but they did meet. They did meet. So again, we're imagining something that's unreal, because if they're your parents, obviously they did meet. Okay, so that's when we would use it again. Another example, here we're showing wish. Ojalá hubiera salido esa noche que conociste a Tom Cruise. I wish I had gone out that night that you met Tom Cruise. So you see, I didn't go out. An action that could have happened, I could have gone out that night, but I didn't go out. And because I didn't go out, you met Tom Cruise and I didn't. Yeah, I hope that's making it a little bit easier to understand. Oh, ojalá me hubieras preguntado. Hubiese dicho que sí. Okay, so I wish you'd asked me, because if you'd asked me, I would have said yes. Okay. Do let me know if you understand when you use the pretérito de cuamperfecto del subjuntivo. If you don't understand it, let me know. Okay, so The question today from my student was this: why is it that I'm having problems, or when I listen to people, I hear Spanish people say, instead of saying, for example, get a random verb, she said llevado. That's the word that she used, llevada. Fue llevada. So I try to explain that these words depend on the person who has been taken. So these verbs, it's not that they're different, it's just that they're being used as an adjective. Okay, there are verbs that behave as adjectives. Okay, you use them the way you would use an adjective. And we know that in Spanish, adjectives do change. So depending on the sex of the person, the adjective will change. So even though you're seeing it and you're thinking, hola, hola, ¿cómo estás? So even though you're seeing it and you're saying to yourself, this is a verb, because it finishes in A-D-O or I-D-O, you have to be able to recognize that it's actually an adjective sometimes. So what she saw in her book was fue llevada. Okay, llevada. She was taken. Okay, what happened? She was taken. So the girl who was taken, la chica llevada, you see, is an adjective. Okay, so if I was to say vivido, okay, with the ending, because you know, with anything to do with the perfect or even this tense, the subjunctive, you have the to have form, and then you have to add the verb ending in ido or ado. Okay, so he vivido. Why can I not say he vivida or he vividos? Why not? Does anybody know that? Why can you not say he vivida if I'm a girl? That is why estoy fenomenal. Gracias. ¿Qué tal tu día? Okay, so basically, we cannot. Why can't? Does anybody know why we can't do that? Why we can't say he vivido, even though I'm a girl? That was the question. The question is, why is it some verbs you change the ending and others you can't? Well, going back to this tense and even the present perfect, these are already conjugated. Hubiese tells us that it's that one person, I. Okay? Hubiese llevado. Yeah? I would have taken. So that refers to just me and me alone. It refers to Kerry, okay? And you know that because we know that this word corresponds to the first person. The same if I say, hubiésemos hablado, we would have spoken. You don't need to change the ending because you know that we're talking about we, nosotros, hubiésemos hablado. We would have we would have spoken. Okay, so because you know that, because of this ending, because of the beginning, the have part of the structure, we don't need to change the verb, the ending of the verb. We do change the ending of the verb, though, when we're looking at the passive. The passive is something completely different. I'm going to refresh your memory just in case you don't remember what the passive is. Now, the passive voice, when you're talking about the passive voice, I'll give you an example. If I was to say in English, the house was built, okay? The house was built, okay? La casa fue construida, okay? You see? There I can change it because it's a passive voice. Okay, so there are lots of instances. There are different instances where you can change. The passive is one, okay, fue construida. Sí, Rostom, sí. Pero como es casa, This is what I'm saying. Because it's casa, you can say construida. Because what we're looking at today is a doubt that we had, which was basically saying, why can we not change vivido to vivida? But we could change llevado to llevada. So I'm trying to explain that some verbs are used as adjectives, okay? Not in a structure such as the present perfect or the pluscuamperfecto del subjuntivo, okay? No. Okay, so what I'm saying, in this structure, it never changes because I think you perhaps missed that first part, Rostom. Okay, this structure, just as with the present perfect, we already know the subjects because the conjugated part of the verb haber, we already know who we're talking about. So if you were to say, Rostom, if you were to say hubieseis callado, you would have kept quiet. If you had said that, you already know who the people are. But if I was to say she was taken, fue llevada, okay, she was taken, that's the passive. But it's acting as an adjective, isn't it? She was taken, as opposed to a boy was taken. Un chico fue llevado. Okay, so it is an adjective. Okay, the same with secuestrada or secuestrado, kidnapped. The word secuestrado, kidnapped. Imagine I was to say, hemos secuestrado in the present perfect. The present perfect, again, has the verb to have, but in the present. Hemos secuestrado dos chicos, okay? We've kidnapped two boys, right? But, because we know that we did it, but if you were saying the kidnapped boys, then you would say los chicos secuestrados. Do you understand? So then we would change it because it's an adjective. You're describing who was kidnapped. The boys were kidnapped. Los chicos secuestrados. So if you see, there is an adjective. Okay. Hola, Evan Billings. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Okay. So that's basically what I'm saying, that there are some verbs that, depending on the structure, you cannot change it because it's not acting as an adjective. You have to ask yourself, when you read a text or you expressing yourself, am I using a verb as an adjective? Is it possible? Or am I just, hola amiga, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenida. Okay. So you need to identify what the verb is and what it's doing. Okay. So if you see aburrido, I asked a Spanish student today, and he said to me, I get very confused when I'm speaking English because, and in fact, I always correct him. He often says to me, I'm boring. For instance, if I say, ¿Qué tal el fin de semana? You'd say, I was boring. I was boring. Because in Spanish, you say, estaba aburrido. Okay? But we know that in English, when we say, I'm bored, it's to describe how you're feeling now. Whereas boring means that you're always boring. Eres una persona aburrido, ¿no? Entonces, los españoles también tienen ese problema con estas palabras. Nunca saben cuándo hay que utilizar el adjetivo y cuándo utilizar el verbo. ¿Okay? Especialmente con los verbos que terminan en ing, ¿okay? Y luego terminan también en ed. ¿Okay? I am bored, I am boring. Como una persona inglesa, tú vas a saber que boring se refiere a una cosa, o si you're boring, a lo mejor eres aburrido siempre, pero hay que hacer esa diferencia. But when I say to my Spanish students, oh, how was the weekend? And they say, oh, I was boring. I know that they're not saying I was boring, que era aburrida. What they're trying to express was that the weekend was boring. And we don't have that mumbo jumbo going on because we grew up hearing it, so we know it's not difficult for us. So this is the same for us. We get confused with this because we have to stop and think, well, what do I use? It doesn't come as naturally as it does to them. Okay, it does not. So when you see a word like this, don't think, oh, it's the verb. It is a verb, yes, because it comes from secuestrar, secuestrado, to kidnap, but we immediately know when we see secuestrada that we're talking about a female person being kidnapped. Okay? Fue secuestrada. La chica secuestrada. You can change it depending on who you're talking to. Hola, hola, soy de Rusia. ¿Es tu nombre? ¿O en realidad eres de Rusia? Okay, yeah. Yo puedo decir, I can say, what can I say about myself? Soy una mujer. I'm not going to use boring. I'm not going to use boring. No soy aburrida. Voy a decir amada, okay? So love, amar. You take love, amar. Okay? Okay. You can say, te hubiera amado, okay? I would have loved you. Te hubiera o hubiese amado. Okay? Si no me hubieses dicho eso. Si no me habrías dicho eso. I would have loved you if you hadn't said that to me. Te hubiera amado. So I can say that as a sentence. But as well, I can make this into an adjective. So I can say, soy una mujer amada, okay? Una mujer amada, a loved woman, okay? I'm loved. Yeah, you can say you're loved. Soy de Rusia. Yeah, soy casada. Okay, soy casada. See, this is a yes. Eres una mujer casada. Eres una mujer casada. Yes. And it's funny because I remember asking my teacher this, because you get taught about permanent and temporal states. So to be married, you can argue that you're not always going to be married, or you could be. You know, it depends how you see matrimony. But perhaps when you look at it from a grammatical point of view, especially nowadays, estás casado or estás casada, but are you always going to be married? That's changeable, isn't it? In fact, I always say I am married. Estoy casada. Because I don't know I'm always going to be married. I don't know. Let me know. Have you been taught something different with marriage? Because marriage is supposed to be forever. So technically, it should be ser casado. Soy casado. Soy casada. But you can also say estoy casado. I am married at this moment, which is quite interesting. So you have to be careful, but sometimes it's quite flexible, which is one of the things I love about the Spanish language. Okay, so again, verbs like desaparecido, desaparecer, to disappear, you will see that a lot, especially if you read, si lees el periódico, por ejemplo, puedes ver gente desaparecida, niños desaparecidos, Okay, so disappeared kids, a disappeared woman. Again, it is acting as an adjective. So we have to be careful with that. And I don't know if it's only students who are studying a lower level of Spanish that get confused with this. But I've definitely seen it with some people who have a higher level of Spanish. I'm interested to know. Oh, really? We're taught estar for casado. Yeah. Which is interesting, Linda, because you hear both. You hear both. And I do myself use estoy casada. Yeah. But you can debate, it's debatable. Okay. You might be divorced one day. Okay. So it's not permanent. So according to the laws, the grammatical rules, if it's not permanent, it should be estar, claro. But a lot of people use ser, okay? Eres casado. Eres casada. You're married forever. That sounds horrible, isn't it? You're going to be married forever and ever. Which is, pregúntamelo en español. ¿De dónde eres? Hola, soy de Jamaica. Soy jamaicana británica. O sea, nací en Jamaica, pero crecí en Inglaterra. Okay? Let me know if you understood that. Tengo dos islas. Okay? Dos islas bonitas. Como Linda. Hola. Hola, Elvis. No, Elvis. ¿Dónde me ha salido Elvis? Lo siento. Elba, Pozo. Hola. Eso suena italiano. ¿Eres italiano? Okay. So, see, maybe this is just a British thing. This is just an English speaker's problem, but I am not sure. But it seems to come up a lot with the changing of the endings of these verbs. Let me know, are you having difficulties with these verbs? Do you have problems when you have to insert these into normal speaking? Okay, ¿qué dices? Well, marriage is forever. El matrimonio es para siempre. Even divorced, you now have an ex-husband. Ah, incluso divorciada, ya tienes un ex-marido. Para siempre en papel. Buen debate. I learned ser. Pues fíjate, depende del profesor. Claro, yo aprendí como Linda estar. Pero, Elba, soy de Perú, Latinoamérica. Oh, qué bien. ¿Nos puedes ayudar? Porque a mí me encanta tener gente nativa aquí. Porque claro, la mayoría de la gente aquí somos gente que estamos aprendiendo, ¿ok? Y pues viene bien tener nativos. Así que si quieres poner cualquier cosa ahí para que aprendamos, mejor. Ok. Is it difficult to learn Italian? ¿Es difícil aprender el italiano? If I'm conversion is fluent in Spanish. No lo sé. Pero te voy a decir una cosa. Hice Erasmus. No sé si sabes qué es Erasmus. Erasmus es un programa que se hace, es un intercambio en Europa. You do it at university. I came to Castilla-La Mancha when I was at university because I obviously was studying languages and I was studying Spanish. Viví en un piso con unos italianos. Chicos, horrible. ¿Por qué? porque todo el rato los italianos hablaban pues, no era español, era italiano, y a veces cambiaban unas palabras y para mí it was really, really confusing. It was really confusing because for them, I think a lot of times they think the words are very similar, but for an English speaker, you don't always see the relationship. So that's my opinion about that. Cuando estamos hablando de vocabulario, a lo mejor sí. Al ver las palabras, las puedes identificar porque son similares a las palabras en español. No sé, depende. Cada uno tiene su manera de ver las cosas. Pero no sé. Dicen que sí. El portugués y el italiano y el español dicen que si entiendes uno, pues los demás vienen muy fácil. No lo sé, puede ser. ¿Qué decimos? Hola, amigo. Es muy flojo cuando comunico en inglés nativo. ¿Cómo puedo hacer para mejorar esto? Practicar más. Tienes que practicar más, amigo. Y la única manera de hacer eso es intentar formar amistades. Hay muchas maneras que se puede hacer eso y pues ahora con todas las redes sociales se puede hacer más amistades, hay grupos, hay muchos grupos en Facebook. Investiga un poco y porque el inglés, te lo digo, no es tan difícil, te lo prometo, no es tan difícil. Es uno de los idiomas más fáciles de aprender. ¿Ok? Hola. Hola. Ok, so yeah, yo creo que he completado lo que tenía que decir en cuanto a eso que nos cuesta tanto de los verbos, que hay que recordar que en el español sí que se cambia las terminaciones según si es hombre o mujer, si es chico o chica, si son múltiples personas o si es una persona simplemente. Entonces, hay que tener eso en mente siempre. Cuando estás hablando, si estás hablando de una chica y es un adjetivo, si quieres describirla, pues cambias la O a una A, ¿sí? Una chica guapa, una chica secuestrada, una chica llevada, la llevaron, ¿ok? Una chica amada, ¿ok? Una chica aburrida o chicos aburridos. It's just not forgetting. No podemos olvidar las terminaciones porque aunque estemos pensando siempre que son verbos, there are verbs. There are verbs that act in the same way that adjectives do. Okay, so don't forget that. But what you cannot do, you absolutely cannot change them when you're talking about the subjunctive. If you're talking about the subjunctive, especially the pluscuamperfecto del subjuntivo o el presente perfecto, no, 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 no y no. ¿Por qué? Porque eso se queda así siempre. ¿Por qué se queda así? Porque el verbo haber ya se conjugó. Entonces, como esto ya se ha conjugado, no hace falta cambiar el verbo. Vamos a ver estos verbos, ¿vale? Aquí te he puesto, porque hay verbos en español que para nosotros es un poco más difícil de aprender. ¿Por qué? Porque son irregulares. British people cannot talk about British, American, English-speaking people. The English-speaking world cannot even talk about irregulars because we have so many irregular verbs and it is difficult for people to learn them. So it's only logical que vais a tener que hacerlo en otro idioma también. Ok, poner, to put. So the past participle, which is what we need. The past participle. The past participle in Spanish, I always try to say this to you. Remember, you get the verb, you take off the AR, you take off the ER, you take off the ending, the two last letters, and you add this. So this becomes the past participle. But of course, you have irregular ones. Poner, to put, becomes puesto. Hubiese puesto todo de mi parte. I would have put all the effort on my part. Okay? I would have done it, but I didn't. Remember, this is when you use this tense, okay? To show that's an action that could have happened in the past, but it didn't happen. When do you use this? Pluscuamperfecto? When it's an action that could have taken place in the past, but it didn't actually happen. Okay. I could have gone to Paris last year, but I chose not to go. I could have gone, yeah, but I didn't go. That is okay. When yeah. Tienes razón. Sí, pasa. When I studied Italian, I thought it was very similar, but confusion may occur for that reason. Tienes razón. Okay. Secuestrada, yes. So secuestrada comes from the verb secuestrar. So you add an R, secuestrar, just means to kidnap. It's the verb to kidnap. Okay. So as I said before, it would be an adjective, wouldn't it? The kidnapped girl, for example. La chica secuestrada. Okay. Again, it is acting as a adjective instead of a verb. Okay. Saber is sepa. Can't remember. Yes, but it's the wrong tense. Yes, that's the subjunctive. That's the present. Simple. Okay. So sepa, for example, que yo sepa, that I know. Okay, it's not this tense. Okay, it's the subjunctive, but it's not the pluscuamperfecto. Okay, it's just a simple. This is a simple subjunctive. Okay, good. You're remembering your verbs, which is good. So poner, to put, in the se me ha olvidado. En el ayúdame. En el participio es puesto. So, hubiese puesto. I would have put. Okay? Then we have abrir, which is irregular as well. We have to learn the irregular ones because if we don't learn the irregular verbs, we're going to find it very difficult when it comes to communicating. You can't just do the ado and the ido because it doesn't apply to everything. Ejemplo. Yo necesito que ella lo sepa. Perfecto, Elba, sí. I need her to know. Yes, I need her to know something. Yo necesito que ella lo sepa. I need her to know that. I need her to know it. Yeah, so this is the simple subjunctive. This is the compuesto, los pluscuamperfecto, which means it has the verb to have as well. Okay, have lived, would have lived. These are compound structures. Okay. Oh, no problem. That's what we're here for. These very short sessions. Okay. So abrir I'm going to put this. Ha sido un día muy largo. Okay. Y como ha sido tan largo, ya se me está durmiendo el cerebro, que es normal. Okay, so ¿qué dicho que era? El participio. The past participle. Okay, the past participle, abierto, open. Again, here, open, opened. But then you could talk about the opened door. La puerta abierta. Yeah, and there it wouldn't necessarily be a verb. It's an adjective because it's describing the state of the door. What's the door? Well, it's open. Okay, it's open. It's open door. Yeah, can be open or opened. Okay, romper, which is to break. This is irregular one as well that you absolutely need to know. Romper, you would say roto. Okay, he roto. I've broken something. Si hubieses roto, si hubieses roto mi vaso, te habría matado. Okay, if you had broken my glass, I would have killed you, but you didn't break it. Okay, you see, something that's unreal, it's conditional, it is in the past, it could have happened, but it didn't. It didn't. So that's good. Hola, Donovan. Bienvenido. Bienvenido. Okay. I love this because it's a short one. Ir, to go. Ido. Hubiéramos ido contigo, pero no quisiste. No habrías querido, mejor dicho, no habrías querido. Okay? We would have gone with you, but you didn't want us to. Okay, so we didn't go with you. We could have gone. Right? Ido, that's an easy one. Ir, gone. Ido, gone. In English, gone. We would have gone with you. Hubiésemos ido contigo. We would have gone with you. Pero, al final, nada. We didn't go. So, the action did not take place. Comprado is a regular one. So, for all your regular ones, si el verbo es regular, lo único que vas a hacer es quitar la E, R o la I, R o la A, R y vas a poner o ido o ado. Ido o ado. Ya está. Y como comprar es regular, es normal, no es especial. Vamos a poner ido, ado, comprado. ¿Okay? Si me hubiese comprado, if you'd bought me that jacket, si me hubieses, o hubieras, the same, it doesn't matter. Si me hubieras comprado esa chaqueta, eso hubiese sido mejor. That would have been better if you had bought me the jacket, but you didn't buy me the jacket. Si me hubiese comprado esa chaqueta, ahora estaría muy feliz. I would now be really happy, but you didn't buy the jacket for me. Okay? Next one, comer. Comer is a regular verb as well. So the only thing you're doing is taking off the ER and then you're adding IDO. So it becomes eaten. In English, it is also irregular. Okay? Eat, eaten. I've eaten. If I had eaten, si hubiese comido, if I had eaten, now I wouldn't feel sick. Okay? But I didn't eat it. I didn't eat. So, si hubiese comido, had I eaten, this wouldn't have happened now. So it didn't happen. The action did not happen. Comer, comido. Next one, leer, leído. To read, leer. Okay? Let me know if you have problems with this, because there is no clear rule when you use these. I just remember that I was taught this when I was studying in Spanish when I was very young. I had this great book, big Spanish grammar book, and it had all of these in the book, the era and the ese. And I found it easier to remember the era. So I think it just depends on how your brain works and how you process the information. Hubiese, I never use that word, plus ido and sido. Yeah. It depends on the speaker. But really, I am shocked that you haven't actually learned hubiese because it's the same. Normally, teachers teach you both at the same time, because they mean exactly the same. They're interchangeable. Okay, it just depends. I had a class just before this. This is from a native speaker. So I had this class before this, and the lady that I was speaking with, that I was giving the class to, she came on the live maybe a month ago, Alithia. We were having this discussion actually. I think I can't even say which is used more. Elva dice, la palabra hubiese y hubiera no son tan usadas, pero son palabras formales que si las usas dice mucho de ti. Elba, yo creo que depende de dónde vives. Porque aquí, por ejemplo, en Castilla-La Mancha se utiliza y mucho. Depende, sí, yo creo que depende where you are. It depends where you are. And when I'm talking, I tend to use hubiera a lot if I have to choose between the two. Si tengo que decir, si me hubiese invitado, pues me habría ido, okay? If you'd invite me, I would have gone. Yeah, I think I would use hubiera more than I would use hubiese. But again, I love to hear, me encanta escuchar las opiniones de las personas que viven en países donde se habla español. ¿Por qué? Porque cambia de un sitio a otro. En un sitio, incluso en el mismo país, en una región, las personas pueden utilizar ciertas palabras, ciertas estructuras, y en otra parte no tanto. Así que depende totalmente. Okay? Chameleons, I said. I hear this word, but just need to implement them in my speech. Yeah. Es un poco difícil. Es como cuando voy dando una lista de vocabulario importante para los exámenes, los niños, en inglés, estoy hablando de los alumnos españoles, les doy un vocabulario cada día o cada semana que hay que emplear, ¿no? Y muchas veces no las utilizan correctamente porque es como forzado, ¿no? I'm going to stick it in because I was told to stick it in. Sí, a veces. Me mudo, que vivo en Inglaterra y luego a veces en España y así, ¿vale? A veces estoy en Inglaterra, otras veces estoy en España, ¿ok? No me gusta esa palabra, vivir, porque vivir suena como para siempre, ¿no? Y no me gusta pensar como una casa permanente, ¿no? Porque yo soy alma del universo, no vivo en ningún sitio, estoy visitando España, ¿ok? Visito mi casa donde está mi madre, y mi madre está en Inglaterra. Mi casa, la casa de donde te crías, ¿no? Donde es como tu casa, donde está tu mamá, ¿no? Wherever my mother is, that's my house, that's my home. I'm too old to say that, pero lo he dicho y ya está. Ok, pero sí, porque me gusta mucho España porque, pues ahora no, por todo esto de la pandemia, no tanto, pero la calidad de vida en España es alta. Se vive muy bien, se come muy bien. Uno puede viajar bastante en España y tener experiencias, porque claro, España tiene de todo, mar, montaña. Mira, yo estoy en el sur del país, ¿vale? Y en verano hace un calor infernal, es horrible. Pero luego coges el coche y vas al norte, vas a Galicia, vas a los Pirineos, que me encantan las montañas, o que me encantan. Vas ahí y hace una temperatura que dices, Me encanta esto. Así que lo bueno de España es eso, que tiene de todo. Si eres amante de la playa, tienes un montonazo de playas hermosas. Si quieres montañas, hay. A mí me encanta. Hay tantas cosas positivas de España que me gusta pero no, vivir en un sitio para siempre a mí me agobia. Okay? I get overwhelmed at the thought of being in one place for too long. Okay? Así que no sé. No te gusta para siempre. Tú mueves y tú estás casada. Sí. Sí. ¿Sabes por qué? Porque la idea de nacer en un sitio, estar toda tu vida en un sitio y morirte en el mismo sitio, a mí me parece estresante. Necesito ver el mundo, necesito vivir otras cosas, ¿no? Y es que yo soy jamaicana, ¿vale? Yo soy jamaicana, entonces yo creo que tengo eso en la sangre también, ¿no? Ese deseo de moverme. I think it's an islanders mentality, ¿no? Que tienes que ir a ver el mundo y volver. Sí, hay que ver el mundo. Aquí en Perú estamos sufriendo por el COVID. Espero que sí, ya perdí un familiar. Lo siento muchísimo. Lo siento muchísimo, muchísimo, muchísimo. Está siendo horrible. Está siendo horrible. Mira, chicos, este fin de semana fue la primera vez en más de un año que he visto familiares, o sea, han nacido niños desde que ha empezado esta pandemia y no hemos podido verlos. Qué triste. Y ayer he podido estar con unos familiares y fue una bendición, una bendición. Esto es horrible. Y si vemos lo que está pasando en la India, las cosas en India ahora están horribles. Así que tenemos que sentir también afortunados que estamos en un sitio donde las cosas están yendo un poco mejor. Lo único que podemos hacer es rezar que India reciba toda la ayuda posible, porque es que sola no puede, no puede. Así que, y hay mucha gente que ha perdido familiares en la pandemia, no es fácil, no es fácil. Mucha gente sigue sufriendo. It's not easy at all. And I haven't rezo que siga así, que no pase, que no pase a mí, ni a ti, ni a nadie. No, pero mucha gente ha perdido mucha gente y no lo deseo ni a mi peor enemigo, ¿no? No tengo enemigo, pero ¿sabes lo que quiero decir? It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing that's going on, and I hope that we'll reach the end of the tunnel soon. Porque desde luego es una cosa que nunca en la vida hubiese podido imaginar. Pero mira, lo estamos viviendo. ¿Hay otras personas de otro país para poder decir qué tal está la situación por ahí? Is it horrible? Is it getting worse where you are, the situation? I don't think anywhere is as bad as India right now. India is suffering in a way that ni podemos imaginar. Okay? Es que a mí me da pena leer las noticias. But one thing I am very proud of the fact there's this guy that I follow. He used to be a monk. I think I follow him on Instagram, and he has what's he done? Yes, he has raised £3 million think it's pounds or euros, para ayudar con todo lo que está pasando, porque mucha gente se está muriendo y no tienen manera de enterrar a la gente. Están quemando miles y miles de cuerpos diariamente. No es nada fácil. But as with anything in life, I feel as though as human beings, when we get together and we try to help, eso es lo mejor. Porque mira, es una persona. Lo hizo, recaudó dinero para India, ¿no? Para ayudar con la pandemia y todos los muertos que estamos viendo todos los días. Y recaudó más de 3 millones de libras o euros, no sé si es euros o dólares. Entonces eso también te da mucha esperanza, ¿no? Porque podemos ver que pues hay bondad en la gente y la gente quiere ayudar. Y eso es importante, Pero tampoco quiero pasar la hora hablando de cosas que nos hagan pensar y nos pongan triste. Tampoco. ¿Qué dice? En Brasil también está muy descontrolado la pandemia. Ya en Chile está en confinamiento a pesar de que tienen una gran cantidad de vacunados. Sí, eso es lo que pasa también, ¿no? Porque estamos sintiendo ya más relajados por las vacunas pero aún así hay que andar con muchísimo cuidado. ¿Okay? Porque no ha terminado. ¿Y qué vamos a hacer? Pues intentar ayudarnos donde se pueda, ¿no? Y apoyarnos y intentar salir adelante. No hay nada más que podemos hacer. ¿Qué más vamos a hacer? Rezar y intentar seguir las pautas para que esto no siga, que no siga propagando, ¿no? Que no siga extendiéndose, que es lo más importante. Pero yo creo que sí. Eso es todo lo que íbamos a hablar hoy. En cuanto a la clase de gramática, espero que lo habéis entendido. Yo creo que hemos cubierto todo. Si hay algo que no he cubierto y queréis que lo toque, me lo podéis decir ahora. ¿Hay alguna duda? ¿Alguien tiene una duda? ¿Por qué te estoy diciendo eso? Son las 11:34 y tengo clase mañana. Mañana empiezo a las 8:30, así que me tengo que ir a dormir. No me gusta ir a dormir pasar las 12 porque luego me cuesta muchísimo madrugar. Madrugar to get up early. Madrugar. I'm in the US in TN. Is TN TN? Is that Tennessee? I'm horrible with places in the US. I'm sorry. It's not very bad here. Afortunadamente. Para vosotros, claro. TN, ¿qué significa TN? ¿Es it Tennessee? Pues mira, no tan mal. Ok, pues nada, chicos, mil gracias por haber estado aquí este rato conmigo y yo espero que por lo menos habéis sacado algo de esta clase sobre cuando se utiliza los verbos y cuando se cambian y cuando no. Y espero que, pues, si tenéis alguna duda de alguna cosa que he hecho, pues, let me know, guys. Just let me know. I'm always here. And even though I have classes in the mornings, in the evenings, I can always hop on for 10, 20 minutes or whatever it might be to make sure that we get something in. So yeah, with that, el placer, ha sido un placer. Un placer. Yera, sí, yes. Yera and yese are interchangeable. Yeah. But it just depends what you feel more comfortable using. I find it easier to say yera rather than yese, but sometimes I do say yese. Me hubiese gustado venir a tu boda. A tu boda. I would have loved to have come to your wedding, which implies that I didn't come. Remember that. I think that's the biggest thing that you need to take away from this class, that you use this tense when you want to express that something didn't happen in the past. Okay, it could have happened, but it didn't happen. Okay, that's when you use it. It's interchangeable. There's no difference. Would have. It just means would have. Hubiera venido. I would have come. Hubiese venido. I would have come. It's the same. Okay, no hubiese venido. I wouldn't have come if you told me not to come. Okay, no hubiese venido si me habrías dicho de no venir. Okay, so it's the same. Okay, muchas gracias a vosotros, a todos que habéis estado aquí este rato conmigo, and I hope to see you again in the near future. But with that, I am going to say goodbye because, as I said, necesito dormir porque si no, no madrugo. Y empiezo a las 8:30 mañana. Can you use debería haber llamado? Of course. Yes, you could have, yes, debería haber llamado. Yeah, you should have, but it's not the same tense. Debería haber llamado, for example, you should have called. Okay, so that's another structure altogether, but as well, it's grammatically correct. You should have done this. Debería haber llamado, venido. Debería haber venido. I should have, because debería is should. Okay, so yeah, you can use that as well also. La siguiente clase traigo mis preguntas para que me ayude con mis dudas en inglés, profesora, que tengo dudas. Muchas gracias. ¡Mua! Un beso enorme. Y hasta la próxima vez, chicos. Pero en serio, me voy a dormir. Estoy cansada y ha sido un día largo. Donde estéis en el mundo, pues que estéis bien. Y pues nada, un besazo a todos. Y buenas noches. Adiós, guys.